How's it going, everybody? Skating Green here, and today we're going to do some maintenance to the Meepo Hurricane's gear drive system. So we're just going to listen to what it sounded like before I did a maintenance to it, and we're going to pan into the maintenance portion. So let's have a listen, and we'll see how we maintain this gear drive system. Welcome to my new kind of assembled garage here for my boards. These are all the pieces that you're going to need for today. Just have this little Allen key. If you got the conversion for the Meepo gear drive system, you'll be aware of this color tint Allen key that you need for it. What Meepo comes with to get your wheel off. And I use some heavy duty grease because of my Baja board required it, but any grease you have to reapply will be just fine for you. So, alright, so we're going to get started here. So first thing, you're just going to use your T-tool here to get the wheel off. And then you can pull this out as well. I don't think it's necessarily required, but it will make it easier for you to be able to get to some of these screws here. So that's the next thing we're going to do. We're going to be taking out all these little heads here, which is why you need this little Allen key. And don't be too aggressive with it. Some stuff's going to feel a little bit stuck, but you don't want to be so aggressive with it that you might accidentally strip some of these, because we're using a pretty small Allen key for this. So I know I sped things up there, but as you saw when I was talking earlier, you just want to kind of break that tight seal that it has first before you start removing every screw. I do like to jump around when I'm unscrewing things, just in case something doesn't get a little bit too loose and your gears are having some pressure on something. Now we have everything removed, so all the screws are the exact same size. So you can just leave them all in one little pile and you will be good there. Now when you're taking this off, it's gonna be on there pretty good. So you just want to be careful and slowly work it out. So the reason why it can be a little bit difficult, because you do have a rubber sealant that goes around everything here. We are going to remove that then, but the only reason I am is because there might be some grease on there that I want to clean off a little bit. So you can see it's a 4-gear mechanism. That's your big wheel there. And you have your 2 smaller ones here. They do come off then, but we will show that in a little bit. So kind of be careful with that. If one of those pegs come out, just make sure you put it right back where it needs to be, because we don't have to worry about those. So we're just going to clean up some stuff here. This is when I would recommend wearing some disposable gloves here, because you are going to get pretty messy, and there are some grease that requires you to wear gloves because it's not good for the skin. As you can see, it's not terrible right now. I only did run maybe around 15 to 20 rides on this. Sorry about the camera move. As you can tell, like, there's a little bit of color to it, but it's not bad. I do feel like once you apply some grease onto this gear drive system, you could probably ride it for a good while. Next time I might check it maybe halfway through riding season. All depends on how many times I ride it that year. So yeah, it can seem a little tedious, but you do just want to make sure you clean it the best you can. You're definitely not going to be able to get every single piece of grease, but I think that looks pretty good. So next we're going to take care of this here. So you see these gears just slide right out. There are bearings, very small bearings on each side. So I would just pull them out as well. If this was a more serious clean, I'd probably individually clean out the bearings. But since this isn't too bad, we're just gonna polish up what we have here. And you can see there was a lot of lubricant on that one, which was technically like the inside, but it doesn't matter which direction you put these in. So we're just gonna make sure the greasier side is on the out there so we could polish it up. Now, I never messed with the plastic piece here. I'm pretty sure there's a way you can take it off, but again, back to what I was saying, because this isn't too bad, and depending how you want to keep up with it, if it doesn't look too black and dark in there, you could probably just keep it. And I will show you then how I cleaned that. Sorry, I don't have this in view at the moment. It's a little hard to try and clean this and be in that angle that I was in. But I'm pretty much just cleaning around where the small gears were, which includes the one for the motor as well. Alright, and then we just want to clean like the outside of this piece. And there is a large bearing that's in here as well, but that's something you won't have to worry about for a little bit until you feel like the wheel isn't spinning quite freely. Then we'll have to worry about it. So the way I take care of this is I kind of stuffed the paper towel here and then just go around the whole circle, and that'll start bringing some of that grease buildup onto the gears there, so you're allowed to clean that up a little bit better. Because you can just use a paper towel. I've tried using Q-tips as well to get into the teeth there. Because it's a very dense plastic, it does make me a little bit nervous to try and like smack this gear out and clean the whole casing. But if your grease does end up looking that bad that you feel like you have to, just be very careful with it. I would recommend using kind of like a rubber end mallet to take it off, because then that way you're not going to damage the plastic that's in there. Because like, doesn't matter how hard this plastic is, I feel like a metal hammer is going to possibly cause some damage. So I just would not recommend that. Alright. And you can clean the inside of the bearing too. It doesn't really have any grease, but it can get a little black from debris and such. Alright, So I'm not going to do the Q-tip thing today. I'm just going to kind of spin around here, make sure there's not any intense grease buildup. If there is, you just put the paper towel through the cracks. Again, kind of hard to show, because as much as I want to show everything, I also want to be able to clean this properly as well. Alright, so I'm probably just going to pan into another screen till I get this done, because again, this is a little bit tedious and it takes a while. It's probably the best that I feel comfortable with here. It's not perfect, but of course that's where, if it was pretty bad, I'd end up taking this whole thing off, and you could probably clean these gears, the gear teeth, pretty good. So I think we are ready to apply some new stuff after we clean the after we clean the little gear teeth ones. I kind of forgot about those. And that one, they're not really built up in the teeth at all. It was the same experience I had on the other side. So I'd still give it like a little bit of a pat dry, and you should be good there. Again, if everything was like pretty black, I would focus on doing the inside as well. A little bit got stuck in there, but we can clean that off then when we I guess we don't have to really worry about it. If you're really worried about getting that stuff out of there, you can always just use your Allen key and get whatever snuck in there. Alright, now we're gonna open up our grease here. We're just gonna apply a very little bit. As you can see from the way they did it, they only did like a light layer. They weren't trying to be real goopy with it, because they were worried about buildup coming in. So I just did like a little dab, nothing extreme. And all you want to do is just cover everything with a very, well, when you say like a thin layer, you just want to make sure that it's on that surface. So I guess if you wanted to say a very thin layer to be applied, you want to go around like the bearings and stuff too. I think we're looking pretty good there. Because I said about the thin layer, I just want to make sure nothing's like super globby or goopy somewhere. If a little bit gets onto the gear teeth, that's not a problem. They're going to need it as well a little bit. So that's it for the casing on that side. We're going to take care of this one as well. And same as before, nothing real intense. We're just going to cover the surface here. Again, make sure there's no extreme buildup anywhere. Just make sure there's enough on all the surface. Do a little bit more. I would like to go around the plastic gear teeth. Might just take like a few dabs for you, because again, I'm not trying to be real goopy with it. I just want to make sure it's got a cover layer. Now what I'm using is it's an extreme high temp. I just figured this would still be pretty helpful for it. I wouldn't think it's really necessary. As you saw, they just use probably your generic grease for it. And if you wanted to put some around the seal, you can. Not really necessary. So you can see there's already some on there. And we're just going to get the little gears. I kind of like to just cover the surface. It's just going to add a little bit more lubricant to it, make it a little easier to flow with the bearings. And again, nothing real goopy. The little bits on the teeth, that's not a big deal either. And I'm just gonna put them in a while.
Unfortunately, my screen froze here, so I'm just going to explain what to do here to put everything together. After you put the teeth in, make sure all the teeth are fitting properly, and then you're going to want to put that rubber sealant back on the outside groove there. If there's a little bit of grease on there, that's fine. And then you're just going to carefully put the whole gear system back in, because you still have that gear on the motor mount and you don't want to chip any of the teeth. So just be careful as you're putting it in, because it can be a little tough, but just be patient with it and it'll slide in fine for you.
All right, welcome back. Just kind of wash my hands and everything. Don't necessarily have to, I guess, but I just wanted to for my own sake. So now we're just at the point that we are screwing everything in. Okay, now that everything is hand fastened, or hopefully everything is hand fastened, we're just going to finish up with the Allen key here. And I wouldn't go like snug yet. I would just wait until you feel a little bit of resistance. Alright, so we did get lucky here. Everything was pretty nice to me. So now we're going to just snug everything. And just like before, you just want to kind of just spread it out, because you want to make sure that this case seals evenly. So you can see, you don't want to like be cranking it and causing the small Allen heads to strip. And we also don't have to worry about any Loctite either, because as you saw when you remove it, there's already this blue Loctite that's on there, which does really help, because if you were using other Loctite, that's another way of possibly stripping these Allen heads, because they used ones that were pretty small for good reason, I'm sure. Alright, everything's on there real good. I'm just going to clean it. You did see how I removed this, and you should know how to already put it on when you were doing the conversion system. But if not, you can just see that these 3 points go into those openings. Last thing we're going to do here before we slap everything on, we're just going to let the motor turn, make sure everything sounds okay. Nothing's grinding or anything, but everything sounds good. So, alright, so we're going to pan over for you to listen to how the final product sounds. The first one was before I reapplied the new grease, so we can find out if we're going to hear a difference here or not.
So I hope this was all good information for you. If you did hear a difference, great. You can also let me know in the comments about it. I do think it's running a little bit smoother than it did. So I do feel like the high temperature grease does make a difference. So I hope you all enjoyed the video today, and I will see you next week. Take care.